From U.S. Staffing Agency, Jim Dolsen and Jeff Hawley. Good morning, guys.
Hey, how's it going,
Good morning.
guys?
How are
Good
you?
to see you.
Doing really well. I think I
Yeah.
saw you at the JAMA golf outing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
it was great. How'd you guys doing that?
I mean, we had fun.
Yeah, good.
Yep.
I won the straightest drive and I used the U.S. Staffing golf ball.
Did you really?
Yeah,
we
Dare to
saw-
Succeed.
We saw that drive.
Did you see that? It was right on the line.
Yeah,
It should have been a hole in
spot
one if
on.
it was Dare to Succeed. So it went right in.
Yeah, that was a great shot.
I won a plaque.
Congratulations.
Did you really?
It was a plaque, yeah.
You should share it with them.
I may send it over to the office
I mean,
later.
yeah, it's kind of a slight brag, but send it over.
Yeah.
So the new term I'm seeing a lot,
Yeah.
just in the last week, quiet
Yeah.
quitters. And
Yeah.
is this something new? Well, I guess what is a quiet quitter?
Yeah, so first of all, they're really not quitters. I mean, like the better way to think about it is they're disengaging. People who are quiet quitters are just like shutting off.
Checked
They're
out.
Yeah, they kind of like, what's the term, mail it in, right?
Yeah.
They're still showing up to work. We actually found a formal definition out of the Harvard Business Review. So I just read it real quick here. It's the idea of quiet quitters reject the idea that work should be a central focus of their life. And they resist the expectation of giving their all or putting in extra hours. They say no to requests to go beyond what they think should be expected of a person in their position. So it's really a disengagement. They're not quitting. They're doing their job, but they're not doing anything more. So if you imagine like a job description in front of you, that's what they're doing. In that line that says, "And all extras as expected or required at the bottom," they don't pay attention to that
Yeah.
one. It's the content of the ball.
They pay attention in the interview for that part.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
it
right,
actually
yeah.
gets to it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, it's very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's so hard to find employees, anyways,
Yeah.
during this time. What leads to some of this?
Well, great question. I think that's the $1 million question, is figuring out what employers can do to keep folks engaged. And I think that's a lot of it is just the re-engagement of employees. A lot of drive, a lot of burnout happens, and it may not be true burnout, but it's something that's triggering something in their mind to just say, hey, I'm not treated this way, or I'm not getting this, and so let me just show up 9 to 5, 8 to 5, whatever that new hour is, but just figuring out what they can get away with or do just enough to get done and keep a paycheck coming in and keep a job.
Yeah, and we're all human. We probably all have a little tendencies here and there to waste a little time or spend a little.
Yeah,
But,
and it's way more than
But
that.
it can be this can
Yeah.
be habitual.
Yeah, this is definitely an intentional, on-purpose decision
Right.
that I'm going to do the minimum.
Do the minimum. Yeah.
And still get a paycheck without getting fired. And actually, we went back and looked. You can find this evolved or started on TikTok, and so you can find the actual videos. It was July 25th of this year, and I forget the fella's name, but he's really a quiet, unassuming kind of person. It's a 25-second TikTok video that started this whole thing.
Oh, no.
And and really, it's not a new concept.
Yeah, it's certainly not. It's not a new phenomenon. It's just
Right.
kind of relabeled.
Well, I can remember people saying, "Oh, they don't pay me enough to do this, and that." And
That's not my job. Yeah.
It's always been. I'm not changing
The four words that kill any
That's not my
person.
job.
It's not my job, right?
Yep. Yeah, or they don't pay me for that.
Yeah, they don't pay me
Right.
for that. Yeah.
And it's stuff like, changing the paper towel roll in the kitchen, just
Yeah.
little things like that. It's like, not my job.
Yeah. Well,
Are there consequences for employees who just act their wage?
Oh yeah, and thank you for that. That's another term. It's
act their wage.
act your
Yeah.
wage. Instead of act your age, act your
Act your
I used to
wage.
get told to act my age all the time. You probably do
I
as
still
well.
do. Yeah.
act your wage.
Act your wage.
Yeah,
That's a
I
good
mean,
one.
but it's the same concept, and the consequences are, listen, right now, employees are smart. They know this is an employee market. They get to decide where they're going to work. There's a lot of openings, obviously, as we know, and so right now the consequences are fairly minimum. But should the economy turn and we have a recession or we have a downturn, and employers need to find themselves laying people off, well, those folks might be the first ones that they go after. If
yeah.
there's promotion opportunities,
Yeah, there's no way
the
to
quiet
get,
quitters won't be at the top.
don't get. We're not interviewing quiet quitters for that management position.
Is there
are we?
something to look for on someone's resume that jumps out? That identifies them as that type of?
Well, it's a tough one right now to really say that there's going to be something that jumped out. I think historically we saw if people left a job, every year, every other year, you could probably say that there's some of that going on. But right now, the Great Resignation, another term from the last couple of years, has happened. So people have left jobs. Maybe they were new into a job when the pandemic hit, and they realized then that they weren't getting the work-life balance that they really expected or wanted. So now you're seeing some of those job changes, and the reasoning behind it may or may not be valid. But you kind of can't take that old adage of people jumping ship.
Right.
Because everybody's doing that.
Yeah,
Right now.
and there's no way to know if the grass is greener until you try it, and it's not always greener.
It's just a different shade of brown.
Different shade.
Yeah.
Well, when we were in Charlotte, one thing I noticed, the fast food signs looking
it's
for people,
amazing, right?
$12 an hour.
Where was this at?
Charlotte, North Carolina.
No, I think it was 14.
Well, I
in
saw one that was
California,
$12.
25 an hour.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
just-
California's ratcheted up quite a bit.
Yeah, that's-
I mean, some of the things you could look for as an employer would be, if you have an employee who is, it seems like they're checking in or punching in and punching out, like right on time, leaving on time, and they're passively aggressively saying we're not going to do anything extra. They may not say that to you, but they're just not going to do it. Those are the signs. It's really, quiet quitting really is a passive aggressive behavior
Right.
on I'm just not going to do anything more. I think we have to be careful not to demonize it too much either. Because, people, if you watch the original TikTok video, the guy's very genuine. He's looking for work-life balance after the pandemic where he's been at home, he's been working, there's no separation of work life and home life when you're at home working all the time. And so it's an interesting, quiet video from a guy who started a whole thing here.
Yeah.
So.
And so that's an example of a guy who, we have this whole generation of people that maybe don't want to work, they want to make money off a viral video or something like
Yeah,
that.
sure.
So getting past that is it's
And
got to
that
be
is-
so difficult.
It is, and I don't think that's even him. I think he
Right.
it's a 25-second, you don't even really see him, you just hear him talking.
Yeah.
With, a little soft music in the background. But,
Well, plus in the old days, you'd left work at whatever time, and in the evening you weren't
Yeah.
getting emails, you weren't getting texts. That's different. People are
It is.
getting to work stuff at night.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's, some engagement issues that, employers certainly share some responsibility in, kind of the act of quiet quitting. And whether it's just recognition, going above and beyond. A lot of people talk about, well, we offer work-life balance. Well, do you always, what's that look like? How do we support it? Are we just saying it, or are we truly coming in and asking how, your child's sporting event went the day before, and letting people know that they're okay to do it, that, we do push that, and we do want you to have those things because it brings happier people to work when they're able to do those things as families.
Yeah.
And I think it's possibly more production being done when you have that balance.
Yeah, I would agree.
Employers definitely have to share in some of that responsibility.
Yeah, definitely.
we encourage people to find a job that they like, they're passionate about, that matches their purpose. You get a job like that, quiet quitting is a term that you use. Like, you work because you want to work.
Yeah.
And you happen to get paid for what you like to do. That's the kind of job you have that kind of job, you're not quietly quitting, you're not acting your wage, you're having fun doing what you do. So,
Well, thank you guys so much for being here and your insight. Always a great conversation.
for sure.
Absolutely. Thanks
Jim
for having
Dolsen
us.
and Jeff Hawley from U.S. Staffing Agency. More of the morning show right after this.